Boys Sports Show. I'm your host, Frankie. The guy over there is Kyle. Kyle, what's been going on, man? How's your week been?
It's been pretty stressful actually this week, even though it's only Monday. Has been pretty hectic. It's a month end close for all my accountants out there who know what that means. Busiest time of the month, um, and so I'm just kind of getting through it.
I don't know what that means at all. I hear about it, but have no idea what it entails. Could be a huge ploy just to get all the accountants to get everybody to stop bugging them.
Slaves to the game. That's what we are.
Rat race. But it's about that time of the year. We got Starbucks drinks. We got the fire. What do you call it? The screensaver on YouTube. The 15-hour loop of fire and Yuletide Christmas songs.
Yes. Got to have the fireplace app going. The Yule log on Disney Plus or on YouTube. Got to have that going all season round.
Did you see that? It was actually in New York that like some girl left her like fire thing on, and somebody called 911.
Yeah, some guy called the fire department because he thought there was a fire in her place from like across the street, and you know that is
I thought
that has
about
got to
you
be.
when I heard that.
I mean,
But it looked
me.
Low key, that looked like a Hallmark movie because it was like I don't know, 20-something-year-old guy, 20-something-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Oh no, damsel
I was
in
gonna say
distress.
if that was like a ploy to basically like to get introduced to that girl, that's probably the most elaborate plan ever, and he deserves a date with her.
Yeah, I'd be interested for like a second date checkup just to see what's going on. You never know.
Speaking of the Starbucks drinks coming out, though, did you see that McDonald's has opened their new standalone chain that's a competitor to Starbucks and Dunkin' called
No
Cosmics?
way. I have
Yeah,
not.
it's a
Why that
completely
name?
different restaurant. I don't know. Maybe they want it to sound like space like, but it's called Cosmics, and they have like a variety of just like customizable drinks and like breakfast food, pastries, whatever. And you could actually get like different add-ons into it, like you can get boba in your Cosmics
What
drinks.
in the world?
It's like completely outside of McDonald's wheelhouse, and it's only like available, I believe, in Illinois right now, but they're going to expand like apparently really super fast.
Oh yeah, it says it's coming to Texas. It has one of the golden arches as the logo. That's interesting, man.
I'm going to try it when it comes out in New York, but
it's going to Houston. Just wait until Starbucks starts making French fries. That's all I gotta say. And hamburgers, I'd buy one.
Yeah, I just find it super weird that McDonald's is like adding a niche like that.
It's a pretty big niche, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It looks like it's gonna be a Dutch Bros kind of thing.
I wonder if they're gonna stay with like the kind of like reputation of like cheaper like type of drinks.
That's interesting. I don't know. I actually got like a hot chocolate a long time ago, maybe a few years ago. I don't know, from the McCafe or whatever, and I was so repulsed by it. And to this day, I'm just so bewildered that anybody actually buys coffee or hot chocolate from McDonald's. I don't know if I got like a bad batch or something, but I was just like so taken aback. I was just shook my head. I had nothing else I could do but shake my head. Yeah, that was unfortunate. So I'd be willing to try this, I guess, but I haven't had good experiences so far.
For sure.
But as far as announcements go, to all of our listeners, we will be doing a guest episode, our very first guest episode on Thursday to preview all of the bowl games, our Mega Bowl Bonanza preview.
Yep.
You excited for that, Kyle?
I'm super excited. We're going to be having our friends from UTSA, from the fraternity, Austin and Zeke, joining us, and they are avid college football followers and fans. Of course, we're definitely going to be going super in depth on the bowl game, UTSA versus Marshall in the Frisco Bowl. But we also have a lot of other special stuff planned as far as analysis goes on all the other bowl games
Hmm.
and the college football playoffs. So should be a great episode. Definitely tune in on Thursday and you know, get to hear a lot more perspectives along with us.
I
On
guess it should be said that Austin and Zeke really have no like credentials, credibility. They didn't like play football or anything. They were just our friends, and they're very knowledgeable. So that if you want to be on the show, that's pretty much all. We don't have very high standards yet, but
when it comes to
Zeke and
college
Austin, we're
football,
excited.
if we're like if you consider us guys like the armchair fans, refs, or whatever you want to call it, they're like
Yep,
probably when it comes to college football a step above us.
I would say so.
So
I
take
would
with
say
that
so.
what you will.
Yeah, it should be fun though. We'll have a good time. I'm excited. First guest episode. Hopefully, a lot more to come.
Yeah,
But
definitely a lot
let's
more.
move on to the NFL. Not much going on in college football where all the teams are resting up, again, enjoying their little hot chocolates and Yule log fire YouTube loops right now, just chilling out until the next bowl games. We did have the Army Navy game. I kind of saw little bits of that. I know, I don't know. Let's see. How did that turn out? I know Army was ahead when I was watching, but yeah, they won 17-11. Nothing,
Exciting.
nothing crazy. Yeah, nothing exciting. But moving on to NFL, that's about it, dude. We had some solid parlays going into the week,
Yeah.
and I think so. I had a parlay, and it was busted within the first half of the first game.
Hmm.
I bet the under on the point total between the Patriots and the Steelers at 30, and Bailey Zappi decided to go off and ruin that for me.
I'll tell you what, like the NFL was super weird this week when it came to betting because
It
a lot
was.
of the outcomes that you know were almost pretty much locks to happen didn't.
Yep.
So it was not good looks for us. But I'll tell you what, usually I'm like on a 95% right hit rate when it comes to legs of a parlay, but this was just a
Cap.
completely anomaly of a week.
That's cap. I will say to add insult to injury, I also had I had the Chiefs spread over the Bills at 1.5. The refs doing their thing in the NFL. We can get to that, man. I whatever. I don't care. If
Yeah.
there should have been a warning or not, it was controversial. Whatever. Chiefs lost. Second leg of my spread done. Of my parlay
Yeah.
done.
I
Lions
guess
lose to the Bears.
yeah, Justin
What?
Fields went crazy.
Like what?
He just looked comfortable. This is the thing, the Lions are falling apart.
They are.
They lost to the Packers on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
They lost to the Bears. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of just it seems like their defensive uh dominance that we saw a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of in the first half of the season is kind of just fizzling out, and
Mm-hmm.
Jared Goff is not consistent enough as like a reliable starting quarterback to be able to like make up for not having a great defense.
I
So
think Dan Campbell is one loss away from just putting on some pads himself and suiting up and getting in the game. That dude is probably what, like 6'8", 300
yeah,
pounds of pure muscle.
I
He could
mean,
go back in.
Lions fans, I'm sure y'all aren't surprised. Like, when was the last time the Lions were good? Like, can we even remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a Jets fan, so that means something.
Mm-hmm. No, you're not wrong. But we had a pretty exciting game. Well, for me, it was exciting as a Cowboys fan. Cowboys Eagles. Speaking of falling apart, the Eagles are collapsing, if you will. I don't know. They lost by a pretty big point margin the past 2 weeks to the
Yeah,
49ers. They got manhandled. To the Cowboys, the game was over in the first half.
yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm not going to overreact to the Eagles like struggling too much because, they beat the Bills in a stunner. Then they had to come turn back around and face the 49ers, best team in the NFL, objectively, I guess, according to record. Right after that, and then they faced the Cowboys, like second record wise best team in the NFL.
Hmm.
Um, Behind them, basically. So it's like you have three just monster tough weeks in a row. I'm not going to be overreacting to that too much, but I guess this isn't the Eagles team necessarily that we expected, because we expected them following the Super Bowl loss to have, a just go up and up and up with their young core, but it's not kind of panning out that way.
No, I don't know if this is a stat, but I don't know if a Super Bowl team has ever won. So the Eagles have given up 43 points in their last 2 games. Has a team ever won the Super Bowl that has done that before? I don't know, but they've gotten walloped the past 2 weeks. I'll go ahead and overreact and say the Eagles are falling apart. They have 4 weeks to right the ship. They have an easy schedule though coming up.
The telling sign of it all from this game is that they didn't even get a tush push touchdown. So
Yeah, no.
for the
But
first
they
time
did
in
do it a
probably
few
what is
times.
all season. Yeah,
They
I mean
did it
they
a few
did it.
times and they converted, whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, easy schedule. They have the Seahawks, the Giants, the Cardinals, and then the Giants again. So let's break this down for everybody listening. I was pretty when you start getting into tiebreakers and then the tiebreakers for the tiebreakers, it's a little like I have no idea what's going on, but I looked it up. So obviously, if there's 2 teams with the same record, it has to go to the tiebreaker. Within the NFC East, we're looking at the 10-3 Cowboys and the 10-3 Eagles. The next tiebreaker after that is the head-to-head record, and they split their 2 games. The Eagles won the first matchup. Then it goes. The third tiebreaker is the common opponent record.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe the Eagles dropped a game to the Jets somehow, but the Cowboys beat the Jets. And then the Eagles beat somebody that the Cowboys lost to. I may have to. Who was it? Who did the Cowboys lose to that the Eagles? Was it the Cardinals? Who was it?
Can't
I
remember
don't know.
off the top of my head.
Regardless, the Cowboys dropped a game that the Eagles beat that opponent. So as of right now, it would have to go to the next tiebreaker, which would be the NFC record. And if both teams went out, the Eagles would actually secure the number 1 seed in the NFC East.
Interesting.
Which I'm not happy about. But
yeah, I mean,
I can only imagine having 2 14-3 teams going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy,
I don't know if that's
but
ever happened,
but at the same time, I feel like
what do you think?
aside from the 49ers and the Eagles,
I'm
the
pretty
Cowboys either way wouldn't have to worry
So with
about
that
that
being
much.
said, we can talk about Dak as a favorite to win the MVP. The other being Jalen Hurts, which I think he may have dropped out. And then, so Dak actually moved ahead from Brock Purdy to be the favorite in Vegas, which is pretty interesting. In my opinion, the real MVP here is Brandon Aubrey, who just absolutely shattered 260-yard field goals, a 49-yarder. He smashed 4 of them. If you had him in fantasy, you're doing great. 4 for 4 with a long of 60. Made 2 of them.
Yeah, and he was a great pickup for the Cowboys. You can see that
Pretty
now.
exciting stuff.
It's worth, I guess, investing in a kicker is what you can see.
So, I was actually wondering if there's a new strat in the NFL that Big Dom and the Eagles
can you hear me?
Not this week, but last week. Big Dom got thrown out.
Can you hear me?
So did the other player who had an altercation with him, which makes you wonder, is that the new strat? If you had somebody from the Cowboys sideline purposely interacting with the Eagles quarterback, Jalen Hurts, let's say. Both of them got thrown out. Jalen Hurts is out of the game. Is that the new strat? In my opinion, yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine just sending in the scapegoat to just starting beef with a Jalen Hurts or Brock Purdy and having a little altercation, whatever, what have you? Somebody touches the other person, they both get thrown out. Imagine that. But anyway,
Hello?
I digress.
Can you hear me? Hello?
In other news, as I mentioned, my parlay was absolutely shattered in the first leg. Patriots take down the Steelers. Bailey Zappi. I've been wanting to see Bailey Zappi do well since he got in the league, and we've been saying that on this podcast. 240 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. The Patriots actually look alive for once. They just looked like I don't even know what you would call them. It's like, why would they even go out to play? They looked horrible. Absolute quarterback controversy all season. Nobody's stepping up until Bailey Zappi, starting to show what he did at Western Kentucky a little bit, putting up some big numbers, leading the Patriots to a win over the Steelers. Speaking of quarterback controversies, we have one brewing in Cincinnati. If you're a fan of the Bengals, you got to ask yourself, man, as soon as Joe Burrow got paid, he's not delivered.
Hello.
Not delivered. Now, obviously, he was hurt. He's out for the season with an injury. Jake Browning, though, man is absolutely turning around. Absolutely turning around the season.
Hello? Can you hear me? Technical difficulties. So for those that can hear me, I said a bunch of stuff. I guess you couldn't hear me. Having a one-sided conversation there. But I'm here. Just give it a moment. Hello? 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 Brief technical difficulties for everybody watching.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I was saying a bunch of stuff and
I was
you were
saying a bunch of
just like,
stuff.
all right, sorry everybody. We're back online.
We need to hire
Okay.
an intern to. I was going on a monologue there, but we need to hire an intern
Yeah,
to
I
do
was
our
talking
sound
all
engineer.
throughout it and you were just like um yes. So the Cincinnati QB controversy,
Is that
the
where we left
whole
off?
yeah, the whole idea is that Jake Browning is performing well in Joe Burrow's absence. He looks very comfortable. It's not like he doesn't make too many mistakes either. He looks pretty polished, pretty seasoned out there, and kind of makes you wonder whether or not Joe Burrow is really the person who is propelling the Bengals to perform well, and whether or not Burrow is kind of like and Browning are both just like system quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a quarterback controversy brewing in there. I think anytime I've said this before, anytime somebody gets paid the big dollars, they start slumping a little bit. Except Patrick Mahomes. I know, like I said, I know Joe Burrow's been hurt, but dude, Jake Browning, back to back wins, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception against. Let's see, who did they play? The Lions? No, who did they just play? Colts. The Colts.
Yeah,
Pretty
and
good.
he's looking really good, and it's actually been very good for the Bengals offense to kind of do some soul searching a little bit because I feel like they've really unleashed the potential of what Joe Mixon can do out there. Like I feel like he had more of a complimentary role when Burrow was kind of the star of the show, but with Browning they have to lean on Mixon a little bit more, and he gets to do a lot more out there than he normally gets to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did so? I don't know. Obviously, we were going through our technical difficulties. Our intern screwed up. Did you hear about my strat against like Big Dom got thrown out and Greenlaw also got thrown out?
Yeah, I
The
heard
new
about that.
strat. Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Imagine you just send a guy out and he just like gets everybody like important thrown out. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, could be a new strat, maybe as good as the tush push.
Hey, you never know. You never know. But the Jags, man, what do you think of Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, he
Speaking of,
looked bad. He looked
yeah.
uncomfortable. I hope it was because of the injury. I think it was just because they weren't playing at all like they normally play on offense. Um, they didn't utilize, which I was surprised about, Travis Etienne a lot. He only got 14 carries for 35 yards, and they tried a couple of direct snaps to him that just didn't work at all. I feel like a lot of the time, unless you're like a big beefy running back, it's kind of like, okay, we're going to be able to stop the running back who takes the direct snap because we know it's coming. He's going to run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that was two of his carries right there, and that just like it wasn't a recipe for success. The Browns read right through it, and they weren't using him as they normally do in the running game at the very least. Of course, he was pretty useful when it came to screen passes and checkdowns, but they weren't leaning on him as much as I'd have thought if they were to start CJ Beathard, or if they were even if they did use Trevor Lawrence like they did. He's injured, so just utilize your pretty much all league running back that you have, very talented guy.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's crazy? Trevor Lawrence had 50 pass attempts. Why would they like why?
Yeah,
You know your quarterback's hurt.
and
You
he threw
throw
2, 3
50
picks
times.
that were just, like,
Yep.
unacceptable. They were
Yep.
unacceptable interceptions. When I saw them, I just shook my head because it was just like,
Thought of Zach Wilson. You just had
yeah,
nightmares of
and
Zach
it's like, dude, you're facing the Browns. They're not, like they're good this year, solid this year for sure, but
Wilson.
they're not anything special when it comes to, I guess at least the secondary. Like they're known for their edge rushing. Miles Garrett is out there causing hell, and he's pressuring the injured Trevor Lawrence, gets him to throw some really bad passes that turn into picks. Why did they lean so much on the passing game, especially when he tried to go for like medium to big plays? I feel like
Mhm.
that's not the goal, and that's not the goal you should be striving for. Evan Ingram had a great game. They should have done way more than him. He could have just completely uh,
Mhm.
ripped through the Browns defense, which he already
Yeah.
was doing. He had 2 touchdown catches, especially one at the end that came at garbage time. But they could have utilized him as much as they possibly could because he was probably open on like the majority of plays that I watched.
You know who is special though? The gift that keeps on giving. Joe Flacco, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Uh, dude, I think he may have heard us and the rest of the world saying he was old, and we just wrote him off. But oh my gosh, man, he's ready to go. He's locked in. He's
Yeah.
ready to take the Browns to a deep playoff run. 8-5, dude. They're eight and
Yeah.
five now. The Jags and the Browns are 8-5. When
I'm
is
gonna
the
be
last time the Browns
honest.
were 8-5?
I don't know if Flacco has the stones to really compete in the playoffs. Compete in the
Keep
playoffs like
talking.
legitimately. I'm
I
gonna
want him
keep
to put
talking
this.
that, but that's just my take on it. I don't think he has the stones to compete in the playoffs this year with the Browns.
This is
But
bulletin board material for him. Just
you
feed the
know, we'll
beast.
see. We'll see.
Feed the beast.
He's playing well. So
He is. If the season ended right now, what does the AFC picture look like?
there's a million teams in the hunt.
None of
Um,
which are great.
yeah. So what it looks like right now, I'll tell you. It
You got
is
Ravens, Dolphins,
Ravens.
Chiefs,
Yeah.
yeah, and then the
Ravens,
Jags.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Jags, Browns, Steelers, and Colts are the ones that are in right now. The bottom 3, I'd expect to honestly fall out come season end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they aren't great teams. Like the Steelers are like you said, like the worst 7-6 team we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
The Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor. They're leaning on Zach Moss and Gardner Minshew to lead the offense, and I feel like that's just not going to consistently lead to
Yeah.
any trending wins. Then the Browns, who have Flacco, who's playing well right now, but I'd expect them to kind of a little more or less level out by the end of the season.
Mm-hmm. The Texans are on the outside looking in, but they had
Yep.
a disaster of a game. I don't know if you saw that play where CJ Stroud got knocked out, but
Yeah.
man, his head's there's I wouldn't be surprised if there's a crater in the shape of his helmet
Yeah.
in that field.
Yeah.
I mean, he slammed his head. He got knocked. I don't know if he got knocked out, but he got knocked out of the game with a concussion.
Yeah.
I think it's doubtful that he returns in Week 15 against the
Yep.
Titans.
Yep.
You had Tank Dell get knocked out last week, and you also had who was the other guy? Is another huge part of their offense.
Nico Collins got injured as
Nico
well.
Collins. Oh man.
So they had already had a revolving door of injuries, especially at receiver. Losing CJ Stroud is going to be the Achilles heel for them, I feel like, because
Mm-hmm.
no matter how fast he recovers, being in concussion protocol usually means that you're going to miss out on at
Mm-hmm.
least 1 week of play. Facing a bad team like the Titans means that, Davis Mills is not going to get you that win.
Mm-hmm.
So that they will almost certainly fall to 7-7, I'd imagine. And, we'll see. What remains to be seen is going to be how CJ Stroud, if they want him to come back, or if he does come back, how good is he going to be coming off an injury? So,
Yeah.
especially when all of his key players, like weapons, are injured as
Mm-hmm.
well. So it's gonna be really hard for them to make a playoff push at this point with those injuries. See, like even before Nico Collins got injured during that game, they were
Yeah.
finding it extremely difficult to be able to move the ball down the field. Uh, the receivers just couldn't catch much, and he also didn't have much time in the pocket. So
The Texans really need a Colts loss this week because in the AFC South, that's the only team standing in front of them. Really, is the Colts. They're both seven
yeah,
and six right now.
yeah,
But man, I don't see, like you said, I don't see the Texans winning this week against the Titans just because the offense runs through CJ Stroud.
yeah,
Um, the Colts really, if you're a Texans fan, man, you're hoping the Colts lose this week.
yeah. Yeah, so we've got a lot of teams that are kind of in the hunt for the playoffs right now, and nobody is necessarily like completely eliminated.
Hmm.
So it's going to be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, it is. In the NFC though, you know that meme of like the super yoked dog, like the Doge, and he's got like a 12 pack and he's like huge and ripped, and then the
Yes.
other Doge next to him that's just like looking derpy. That's what I feel like the NFC and the AFC is right now. You have the 49ers, the Cowboys, we can say the Lions, the Eagles, all just balling out. And then on the other side, you have,
I'd hold your breath on the Lions.
yeah, okay, well,
I feel like the
even
top
then,
end talent in both conferences is pretty good. Like I would love to see like if it was 49ers, Cowboys, Dolphins, or Ravens, I would love to see either of those four teams like combinations play against each
mm,
other.
I still think the 49ers, Cowboys, and Eagles are the top three teams in the entire NFL. And then you can start talking about, I don't know, the Dolphins, maybe the Ravens. The Chiefs look very human after losing to the Bills and complaining to the refs. It's not a great look, but
Yeah,
I just think the top three in the NFC are better than the top three in the AFC.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's my hot
you
take.
could definitely argue that the Chiefs in that Bills game just looked not good. Like I will say, like their receiving core looks borderline useless.
Yeah, I
Like
know. They should
you have
drop passes.
Kadarius Tony, who
Hmm.
had like the game-winning touchdown basically, and he didn't check to see if he was offsides.
That's crazy, dude.
He
By
was
a lot,
offside by
by a mile.
well, like a foot. Like his foot
That's
was
like a
offside
mile.
ahead of the ball. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like and that play, regardless of whether or not he's offsides, ends in the same way, and it's in a Kadarius Tony touchdown.
Hmm.
So to
Hmm.
me, it's like that was his one redeeming moment of that game, and and basically, other than that, he looked awful.
He did, and it looks like Taylor Swift is not the common factor anymore. She's been at the last two games, and they have lost the last two games. So
Well, Travis Kelsey is the only guy out there who can reliably catch the ball for
he
them.
can catch it. He can throw it. Well, last week he didn't.
The
He had
Chiefs
some
this
drop passes.
year are just like, okay, they're fine. They can be good. But
Hmm.
like the thing is, it's like I'd say it like this. It's like that a really great movie that you've seen like a lot of times, and it kind of just like it's like okay, it's fine, it's there, it's
Hmm.
good.
Hmm.
But at
I
the end
agree.
of the day, you're gonna get a little tired of it. That's how I feel watching the Chiefs.
Yeah,
But
that's a good analogy.
I will say watching the Bills is to me, I don't know why. I just hate watching the Bills.
I think it's because they've disappointed everybody for like 3 years in a row when they had a chance to win it all, and they
Yeah.
just could never capitalize. Man, they could never get the job done. I think that's why. It's like the boy who cried wolf. They just cried wolf too many times, and now everybody's like, whatever.
Yeah.
And here
They're
they
not
are.
very exciting to watch for me.
No.
Like they like to run down, like play super slow and super
Mm-hmm.
conservative, and like suddenly they end up winning somehow
Mm-hmm.
most of the time. So
I don't see them overtaking the Dolphins in the AFC East either. Even though, let's see, yeah, 7-6 and 9-3. No, I think the Dolphins have that on lock.
yeah, 100%.
But it's other than the Cowboy. Did you? Okay, again, going back. Did you hear my case for Brandon Aubrey as a league MVP? I just want
Yes,
everybody to
and
consider.
I don't know about league MVP, but it definitely shows why teams should definitely maybe take a chance if they feel like it's worth investing in a kicker.
And a soccer player at that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been superb. And, I definitely think he's got a bright future in this league.
League MVP, dude. I'm sending in my vote. I'm casting my vote.
One
Give
question I
that man
have
the
for
league.
you,
Hmm.
just to wrap up that Cowboys talk, is if it ends up being that Dak wins MVP, blah, 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 this and that,
Hmm. Hmm.
and y'all lose in like the divisional round, you know,
Don't even ask me that question. I
How
don't
would
know
that
what I
feel
would
as a
do.
Cowboys
I
fan?
don't
What do
know.
they do from there? What do they do with Dak?
I don't know. But I can imagine I'd be feeling emotions I've never felt before, and I wouldn't know. I have no idea. I would not have the slightest bit idea if we got knocked out in like the first round. I don't think they will, but it's always that thing that they fall apart, at least they have for the last 27 years or so.
Yeah.
It's always in the back of your mind as a Cowboys fan. I have to
Chad,
be
if that
honest.
happens, expect me to be podcasting alone, as I think Frankie will
Yes.
be taking a sabbatical,
Yeah. I'll be on a beach
taking
somewhere.
his
Just,
podcast PTO days.
yeah, I'll send in my PTO for the podcast. Oh, man. I don't even want to think about that. As of right now, they're rolling. I love to see it. The defense, too. We didn't get to talk about that when I was on my monologue. The defense is not only stopping teams on crucial like third downs and crucial drives, but they're forcing turnovers. They're forcing turnovers in the secondary. They had three, I think. Well, okay, they had two strips in the secondary and then one with Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's like I don't know, dude. This Cowboys defense looks different than it ever has before, and I'm here for it. They're not just getting stops. They're exciting to watch because you never know that when they make a tackle on a receiver, it could end in a fumble.
Yeah.
But that's a Super Bowl looking team right there. That is a Super Bowl looking team. They have it all. They have the special teams, the kicker. They have the defense. Even without all the guys that have gotten hurt, and they have probably, in my opinion, who will win the MVP, Dak Prescott on offense. Man, they look good.
No.
But I can go on and on about the Cowboys. They're looking good. How about the Jets, man?
Yes, the Jets have finally won a game, everybody. It was the first time all season that we've had 3 offensive touchdowns in a game.
That's sad.
And of course, we talked about CJ Stroud injured in the process. The elephant in the room after, my long stance about Zach Wilson. So I have to talk about it. I do not change my stance on Zach Wilson. How he played, though, was good. He played well. He had the ball on what looked like a string in that game. He was throwing in between the zones comfortably. He was reaching tight ends through the seams for big plays. This is what I feel like was the biggest key change driving that. He was taking, and this is what I've been preaching the entire time for all season, for probably the past 2 seasons, that Zach Wilson needs to do. He was taking what the defense was giving him. On plays
Mm-hmm.
like third and short, he was hitting those open flat routes, checkdowns, giving Brees Hall and like his tight end guys a chance to make a play and get a first down. He was giving them chances, and he was making those reads as opposed to just bowing down and taking the sack. Mind you, he was still getting sacked a ton, but it wasn't like he wasn't trying to make those types of reads, which he wasn't doing before. Lastly, you know, I saw a quote from him that it was like basically the mindset he had going into this game was like, what's the worst thing that can happen? They're just going to bench me again. So I think he was just playing
Oh
like
boy.
exactly how he wanted to play
Yeah.
football as like a final stand, because I don't think he's going to be on this team much longer after this season is
Not
up.
even as a
So
backup.
I don't think so. No matter what he does, and so that's just kind of my opinion on what they're going to do with him.
You think he'll be on any team after this?
I think there's a place for him in the NFL. I just don't think it's in the Jets system anymore, and I think he's trying to increase his appeal so that
Mm-hmm.
other teams looking at him might be able to like see some benefit from picking him up. So
I'm happy for you, Kyle. You've been a Jets fan through the thick and thin.
yep.
I don't really know what that means. I don't know if thick is good or bad, but you've been through the bad and the bad. So to see that Jets actually score 30 points, I'm happy for
Yeah,
you.
drop 30 on their heads. And listen, there is a playoff path for the Jets, believe it or not. They're sitting at a 5-8 record overall. If they win out, they're likely going to be in the playoffs. So
Dude,
Here's what they need.
oh my god. Sorry. You know what I just thought? Like I didn't really know that there was still a path. It's probably unlikely and you can go through that, but if Aaron Rodgers comes back and they make it all the way and the Cowboys have to face Aaron Rodgers, I will lose it. I will lose it, dude. I
Oh
have never
man.
liked playing that guy. Ever. Ever.
Yeah.
He's gotten bailed out by refs. Don't even get me started. Anyway, let's
Well,
hear how
here's
the
the
Jets
deal.
can
I'll
make it.
tell you. So next week is the basically end all be all Dolphins week. Aaron Rodgers, I don't think is ready to return yet. It will depend on whether or not they feel like he's healthy enough to play. I don't think he will be. And what's going to happen is if by some miracle we pull out a win on Dolphins week, we come out of that 6-8. We have with Rodgers to return for presumably Commanders week. We would have the Commanders, very beatable team. I think the Jets defense, like they have with many of this, like very like elite quarterbacks this season, CJ Stroud, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, those types of guys, they will make Sam Howell's life hell. We would have Rodgers for that week on
Mm-hmm.
offense. Then
Dude,
Browns week.
my gosh.
You don't think that the Jets will give old man Joe Flacco a hard time? You know,
Speaking of old man Joe Flacco, what would the combined age of those two quarterbacks be?
oh man, that's
It'd
like
be like
68 is 60, 76 maybe.
78. Rogers is 40. I think Joe Flacco is 38. That would
Oh
be like
man.
watching a Thanksgiving Russell behind it, a senior living center playing
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Yep.
But man, they're still
So
good though. They're
so
still good. And
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers led Jets. Oh my gosh, I don't want to see that.
So that would be Browns week and then the last game to end the season, Patriots week. So, three very winnable games if we
It's
come out of the
doable.
Dolphins game
Yeah,
alive. If we come out of Dolphins week alive, we're looking at a very very winnable path to the playoffs.
man. As as your friend, I want to see the Jets beat the Dolphins. I would love that.
I
But like I said, man, if they make a deep playoff run and somehow face the Cowboys, I Aaron Rodgers is the last person I would want to see. That is like the Slenderman, the monster behind in the closet for the Cowboys. Mike, what a man, is that in the script? Mike McCarthy and
it
Aaron
might
Rodgers, is that in the script?
it might just be in the script. It
Dak
might just be in
Prescott,
the script.
I don't know if he's ever beaten Aaron Rodgers, but man, could be in the script.
Yeah. Okay, and just to
I don't like that.
give a preview for y'all for tonight's games, very very, you know, one-sided affairs we have here. Dolphins Titans. To me that's an easy Dolphins win. Packers Giants. Easy Packers win.
Hold on, should we we've gone through this like for 2 weeks now. I'm gonna pick the dogs every time now. You go ahead and make your picks. I'm gonna throw in a little dog every now and then.
Dolphins Packers.
Packers.
Yep.
Wait.
So
Packers, Giants, Dolphins, Titans. Okay, I'll go Packers, Titans. How about that?
that is scorching hot. That is a
Well, you
scorching
know
hot
what?
take.
When I picked the favorites, I like my parlay. None of my legs won last week, so I got to change something up.
All right, maybe enter that into your little betting app tonight and see how it goes for you.
I don't want to. I already lost everything in Robinhood. My stocks are just plummeting. So
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like that's it for the NFL.
okay, you know what? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll take the Titans and Packers. I'll do it. I'll stand by that. I'll put my
Okay.
money where my mouth is.
All right.
College basketball, man.
Yep. We had
The
Bronny
big
James
news. Big news.
debuting versus Long Beach State. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 1 chase down block on 1 for 3 field goal shooting.
Mhm.
So with them easing him back in, you know, it seemed like, you know, they didn't want him to have any health issues transitioning back into the game. Now he's at the
Mhm.
collegiate level. I thought I feel like that's a good stat line. He was doing a little bit of everything out there, playing with really high energy, and in limited minutes, definitely put on a little bit of what we can look forward to for the rest of the season. They did lose to Long Beach State near the end, which is surprising, but I feel like they didn't need to overexert Bronny just to basically win that game against Long Beach State of all teams. So
I've never even
uh,
heard of that Long
no,
Beach State
me
University.
neither, me neither. But he showed a lot of glimpses of what looks to be a great potential player in the league and in college right now. Um, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this kind of performance for first stat line?
I'm still researching this Long Beach University. I'm trying to see tuition costs. Not that I'm going to go, but I've never heard of that place. I think I don't think it's going to impact Bronny's dude. I think whatever team is going to have a chance at drafting Bronny, they're just going to take him
Yeah,
with the hope possibly that Big Braun joins him. It's an option by
maybe.
GM.
And we've seen so many times where players either sat out their whole college season, like first season or whatever, or even
Yeah,
sat on the bench for their whole season and still became superstars.
yeah,
Like Devin Booker did not start a single game in college, and
that's
he's a
crazy.
superstar in the NBA now.
That
So
is crazy.
college is not as important as we think when it comes to draft stock. If the front offices like you, I feel
Hmm.
like they'll take you.
Yeah, I agree. Especially in college basketball, it's very different in college football. But college basketball, yeah, you're right. You just could definitely ride the bench one year and make it in, put in the work, and be a star. I think any team that has a chance at getting Bronny is definitely going to take him.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bronny and Le GM, we have Le in season MVP, baby.
Yeah.
Your own Lakers, LeBron James won it.
Yeah. So it was a great journey to watch throughout the whole thing. And it was really cool to actually see a lot of teams actually care about it. I feel like the
Hmm.
teams that were in there treated it like it was a playoff atmosphere, and they really played hard and gave us a little bit of excitement through
Yeah.
what is a very long regular season compared to most sports. We had the Pelicans and we had the Lakers play the Pelicans in the semifinals, and it was a blowout. But
Hmm.
we noticed something on about the defensive end of the ball that exposed Zion on offense. Um, First of all, Stephen A. Smith, guys like that have pointed out his health and fitness is not there. He
Eating that
were
gumbo, baby. I don't blame
Stephen
him.
A. Smith called him fat straight up,
I
which
don't know if
is
he's fat, but he's
I
thick.
mean,
He's a thick boy.
he's a thick boy, and here was the Lakers' strat to stop him, and I'm curious to see if more teams are going to employ this strategy. So basically, we either had LeBron. LeBron was the primary person guarding him. We had AD maybe switching on him if there was a pick and roll situation, but they kind of let Zion do what he wanted, like run around the perimeter a little bit, but like let him get sort of close in the to the painted area, play around in the mid range a little bit, and Zion, obviously, as we all know, he's got like top three, maybe the top layup and dunk conversion rate in the NBA. That's his game. He's just big and beefy. He's going to
Hmm.
barrel to the rim. So they kind of played some lackadaisical defense on him until he got to like the right or left block, right? And then basically what would happen is either LeBron or AD, they would let him load up. He was going to start, making his move to like get a dunk or layup, and then they would switch to taking a charge
Mm.
like right away. And that worked.
Exposed him. Yeah.
That worked. And that's the same type of defense they would have played on like Giannis or something. Um, and so it kind of really pokes a hole in like one dimensional players that don't really do much around the perimeter if it's not in the paint.
Hmm.
So that was cool to see. And then the finals, they were playing the Pacers. A lot of people thought the Pacers would pull off the win against the Lakers because they were considered going into it the league's best offense right now. They play a very fast pace, to 7 seconds or less. Um,
Wow.
and the Lakers blew them out nearly blew them out on 2 of 13. They shot 2 for 13 from 3 point range.
That's abysmal.
AD had 41, 20, and 5. Austin
Oh
Reeves at
my
28.
gosh.
Austin Reeves at 28, 2 and 3 with a 22-point first half coming off the bench.
Oh my gosh.
It's amazing to see. And my thoughts on it is, first of all, the Lakers are definitely a championship contender at this point.
Hmm.
And it's very, very, for me, reminiscent of the 2020 bubble Lakers. Both LeBron and AD have been fully healthy, knocking on wood there. You definitely could see in last season's playoffs that LeBron was not fully healthy. He was playing on that injured foot. That's done now. But
Mm,
they're being basically to blow a team out like that, like with such a good offense on 2 for 13 shooting from
yeah.
3 is
Yeah.
insane. And
Yeah, it
how
is.
they're doing it is they're just like the 2020 bubble Lakers being just so much more physical than the other teams. They're winning off their physicality. Um, they have all these guys who can guard all 5 positions, basically. They're switching everything on defense when it comes to pick and roll game and having all that versatility there to basically force stops and turnovers so they can get out on the break and just kind of let the Lake show make things happen
Mm,
in transition. So the one thing that's left to be desired though is like sometimes they're like kind of lazy defense when guarding the 3. But in that IST finals, like what we could see is that the Pacers were hitting like all the threes they wanted basically, and some of them were incredibly tough shots, and it was still a blowout.
you
So
think Anthony Davis is finally? I mean, I feel like with all his injuries and we just haven't heard a whole lot about him delivering for the Lakers. You think he's finally kind of getting past that hump and starting to deliver as the Lakers intended him to?
well, it's remained to be seen because like the whole thing about Anthony Davis, especially this season, is that like basically we're gonna get a like basically MVP caliber Anthony Davis
Mm-hmm.
every 2 games or every other game type of thing.
Yeah.
So he needs to not just be like elite rebounder, elite shot blocker. He needs to be offensively elite scorer every game or almost
Mm.
every game, especially in the playoffs. But I think that the Lakers are more focused on the playoffs. Like when it came to a playoff atmosphere, even though it's just the in season tournament, they were locked in. All their guys were locked in, including Anthony Davis, and they just showed out and just showed how dominant they could be when they really care about it. So that's a good sign, but we need to see some real consistency from Anthony Davis to be able to make that claim
Yeah.
offensively at
41
least.
points. 41 points in 40 minutes and 36 seconds, 16 for 24. How many rebounds did he have? 20? Man.
20 rebounds.
Yeah, I think he just needs to be more consistent. That's a monster of a stat line.
Yeah.
But if he's more consistent, yeah, the Lakers have a very good shot at going all the way.
Yeah. The other thing is they just need to consistently be shooting the 3 at a high clip.
Mhm.
Obviously, they didn't that game on 2 for 13 from 3, but some games they'll be amazing and others like the finals not. But that's kind of why they're pushing this tough brand of like physical athletic basketball because when it comes to LeBron and AD as a duo,
Mhm.
though both of those guys when they're on their game and they really care about it can just be when they're being aggressive like basically out athlete all the other teams star players.
Yeah, I agree. They're I don't yeah, I think the Lakers are looking very good right now. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, I have to do the Wimby watch. Unfortunately, I have to keep previewing and analyzing the Spurs games. 3-18. Somehow, I'll say it again. Somehow, some way, we got worse since last season after picking up Wimby. Um, I'm Team Tank. I mean, there's no other way around it. Just tank again, and I don't know, get Bronny or somebody. That could be in the script, though. We'll know.
Could be in the script.
It could be in the script. Now that I think about it,
And
Wimby. Yeah,
to
go
be
ahead.
fair, there's a lot better point guards that are projected above Bronny that are in this draft. Like
Yeah, but if he comes in a package deal,
it's a
you
pretty
never know.
point guard heavy draft. So I wouldn't be worried as long as you guys are tanking like about getting a
Yeah,
pretty quality like star point guard.
we need a point guard. Jamie Sohan played 34 minutes, had 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 points. I don't know why, but we keep trying to make him a point guard. He's not. The only explanation I have is we're just tanking.
I mean,
And
think
at this
about
point,
what this team
LeBron gets
could
that.
be with a young point guard who can facilitate and a
Yeah,
quality
I
depth
agree.
pieces. I mean, you've got Sohan who is currently running the point, which he shouldn't be, like you said, and he can just slide back into the four position, grab all the rebounds, so Wemby doesn't necessarily have to all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and he can play more of that aggressive, like small ball type big, and then Wemby can really just focus on being a star. And then you've got Vassell, who's a great shooter, great scorer. You got Keldon Johnson, who maybe will be on the team next year, 2 years from now, or whatever. Kind of like more of an
Mm-hmm.
all-around guy. That's really all you need at the three. But a guy who can be a point guard that's like a tertiary, secondary type scorer and
Yeah,
facilitate more than anything would be, just that would be a complete, actually serviceable lineup.
it would be. Now I have to just fantasize about this as anyone would do with a team they follow that's 3-18. LeBron has made very clear that he wants to play with Bronny. And if there's one person in the league that can make that happen, it's LeBron. Led GM. I don't know if this is what the Spurs are planning, somehow making a play for Bronny and hoping to get LeBron in a package deal. But can we just imagine that really quickly? Can we just imagine Wemby and LeBron on the same team and Bronny? Are you kidding me? That'd
I'm
be insane.
sure most other fans of other franchises are imagining the same exact thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, not everybody has Wemby though. So
Everybody has fantasies, and
we're 3-18,
only
man. I
only
have
one
to.
person can
Just let me
fantasize
have
about
this.
having LeBron, because that's me. I'm a Lakers fan. I can do it.
Just let me have this. I'm 3-18.
All
Our
right.
team is 3-18. But dude, a Wemby and LeBron, geez, give it to me. Give
Yeah.
that to me.
Yeah, that would
And
be
you know
great.
what? The Lakers, feel free, man. Take Sohan, take Keldon Johnson,
Mm. I'd
take
rather
take
not.
it, dude. Take 10 of our players if you want. All we need is 5.
I'd rather not. But
Yeah, I know. But well, that's all I have for the Spurs and the Wemby watch. That's all I want to cover. Do you have anything else, Kyle?
for today, not really. I have some bets that we can run through really quickly for the NBA games tonight.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So for the Monday night games, I've got for you, and I'll go through the ones that are basically I feel like are going to be more of the locks. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
all over the place tonight, but the 76ers are playing the Washington Wizards, the Fighting Jordan Pools, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take the Sixers spread at 11.5 points, as it should be a blowout. There's no significant injuries on the side of the Sixers, and the Wizards are just horrible. Otherwise, it would be minus 700 money line, which isn't really worth it. The Pacers, just coming off the in-season tournament finals loss, are playing the worst team we've maybe ever seen of all time, the Detroit Pistons. Even worse than the Spurs.
Oh, I would. Okay. Yay.
Um,
I don't
and
know,
then
man.
we have the um, the Nuggets playing the Hawks. They're only favored at minus 142. I believe that's because Jamal Murray is out, but I would still expect the Nuggets to come out with that win. The
Mm-hmm.
Bucks playing the Chicago Bulls, which are not playing Zach LaVine. They have other injuries at hand as well, so I would watch out for that, because I don't think that the Bulls are really looking to win any sort of games right
Mm.
now. The Rockets are I would take over the Spurs for obvious reasons.
I don't know, man. This could be the one. We could snap that 17 game streak or whatever it is. I'm just kidding. Oh, we're not going to.
I would take the Thunder 12.5 point favorites over the Jazz. That would be because the Jazz are currently Walker Kessler is out. I believe Larry Markkinen is also out, so the Thunder should decimate them. The Mavericks just losing Kyrie Irving.
That's brutal.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving having been injured by his own teammate, perhaps season ending, but remains to be seen.
Mm.
I would still take the Mavericks over the Grizzlies, though. The Grizzlies just aren't a good team, and the Mavericks still have Luka at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Then, lastly, the Kings over the Nets. Kings are just a better team, and then the Clippers over the Trailblazers. The Clippers, I believe, are 13-point favorites over the Trailblazers, and they should be treated as such. The Trailblazers are not a good team.
Man, dude, yeah, that sucks for the Mavs.
But if you're more comfortable without the spreads, just take the money lines. It still makes for all of those together being a $100 return on a $5 bet.
There you have it. If you want to get rid of your debt, listen to Kyle's locks. They are locks. Don't listen to mine because I lose every leg in a parlay. Yeah. I
We'll
don't
see
know.
if I'm rich after tonight, but yeah, that's about all I
$100, man.
got.
That'll get you like what, McDonald's in New York for
Yeah,
one
but
night?
I also took the spreads on some of those games for a $2 bet on a $10,000 return. So
Okay. Sign me up, baby. I think that is all we have. We'll be looking forward to the games tonight. Let's see. So let's see. We have, again, the Packers Giants. I'm taking the Packers. Titans Dolphins. I'm throwing it. I'm changing it up a little bit. Again, I'm taking the Titans here because I did lose every leg in the parlay. I picked the favorites last week. I'm changing it up now. I'm taking the Titans.
okay.
And as a Jets fan, that would be great for you.
Well, yeah, we'll check back Thursday to see if you're right. Make sure, everybody, you're following us on all platforms. The link will be in the description. We are on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok now, YouTube. Obviously, you're watching it on YouTube probably. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, we're there.
Alrighty, sounds good. We'll see everybody again. We have a guest episode on Thursday with Zeke and Austin. We'll be previewing all of the bowl games, our Mega Bowl episode. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, make sure to
And
tune
with
in.
that, we're out.